Previously, on Super Happy Pedal Time with Matt and Steve.
There was this almighty bang.
Something I've stolen from John McLaughlin.
Like a phaser.
Something I've stolen from Robert Fripp.
He would punch you.
Something I've stolen from Bob Mole from Huskadoo.
Hang on. I've got his younger looking brother here.
Oh, it's that stand!
Because, I'm an idiot.
What, do you use any pitch shifters?
I've had the worst luck. Well, actually, yes. I've had the worst. This is my favourite one. I've had the worst luck with pitch shifters. It's the Boss Multi Overtone.
I don't know that one. What's that?
It's like it's an octave up or an octave down. It's so simple. It's the balance, the tone, the detune is the key to it. I use it an octave down, slightly out of tune, and it just sounds like 10 7-string guitarists all at once, very low.
Like a micropog?
Yeah.
It's like the Boss version of the micropog?
No, I think you're meant to use it because of the three modes, one is down and two are up. And they sort of sell it like play the organ on your guitar. It does organify your guitar.
Yeah, got you. So it's like, does it sound like that? I mean, I've never seen that one before. That's weird, actually. I don't know that pedal. It's got a bit of chorus to it as well, has it, from the detune?
Yeah, it has. It's a unique sound. I didn't like it when I first got it, and then all of a sudden, one day in rehearsals, I put it on this horrible low sound, and it suddenly found a place for itself in 2 or 3 songs. So
yeah, I've had that. It's weird, isn't it? You get these sounds that sound rubbish in isolation. Like, where is it? Down here. There's a horrible gate fuzz I've got somewhere. I don't know where it's gone, but and it's a really horrible pedal. But I use it in one song for the melody part because it's unusual, and it's it's like that sort of thing of having something that's and that's a horrible sound. More lo-fi pedal.
Okay.
That's horrible, but. It's like a bit crusher, but it's not a very good bit crusher. But if you want a distinctive sound, it's fantastic. And when you're making albums, these things are so good to have, just to fiddle about with, aren't they?
Yeah, and then you spend the next 6 months with your Zoom multi-stomp trying to make a version of it for live.
Thing, yeah. And that's one of the reasons I have thought about getting like a Helix or a Zoom thing or something. So one of the other problems I'm getting a lot at the moment is I'm stacking a lot of sounds up. So I'm getting like a compressor into a delay, then with the vibrato at the end. So it wobbles the whole thing, and it sounds really good. But you don't want to be moving for one song. You're not going to build that entire row of pedals, are you? So
with the G2, yeah, I would.
You can do that with the G2.
Yeah,
that's cool. They're expensive, though, the G2s, aren't they?
I know. With all the cables and the power supply, you're looking at $1,000 really.
But it fixes that problem forever.
Yeah, well, the problem I had is that I'd never been the singer in a band before. Right. I'd always been free to play with my pedals, and I spent half the set on my knees twiddling with things, enjoying myself. And all of a sudden, you're chained to this stupid microphone.
You've had it. You ain't got much choice, have you?
And of course, I have to have the vocal processor as well because I'm just as bad at singing as I am at playing the guitar, so I need to hide behind something there.
It's really fantastic at that gig. Really
Stop it. Thank you.
Men aren't very good at saying nice things to each other.
No, God, we can't hug. But with having the singing, I couldn't tap dance, So my dream was to have the one button get me back to home base, which is what I bought the G2 for originally. I just want one button.
They're brilliant. Don't get me wrong. I would love one, but I can't really justify it. It's a lot of money, and like I say, for a lot of the gigs say we're only doing, like next year we've only got 6 gigs.
Yeah, we've only got I think 6 or 8 booked. Yeah.
So if we're only doing those shows, can I justify spending $1,000 on a switching system? You know what I mean? That I'll use 6 times. I mean, I'll use it in rehearsal as well. But yeah.
Well, but then you could. I mean, you've heard me say, I bought a Head Rush. I love it. I tried all of the modelers. I had them all in my house. I've had the Kemper, the Fractal, all of them, and I've come to the conclusion that they are like amplifiers. I don't like this amplifier. I do like that amplifier. It doesn't mean that amplifier's no good. It means I prefer this one. And all of the modelers are good, but the one I enjoy using the most, and the one that I get to my ears, the closest to my plexi out of is the head rush. And
It's weird, isn't it, that so much. I mean, I don't think there's such a thing as bad sounds. I think
No.
you just take, you know, if I, you know, when I watch like someone like Radiohead live, and you see the crew they've got, and they can have all the gear. You could have one amp that's a distorted amp and one amp that's a clean amp. I'd love that. That'd be
I
brilliant.
would.
But at the end of the day, it's just me and my mates, and I don't want to be faffing around. I mean, it's bad because I play a bit of keyboards live as well. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, I do as well.
The whole thing just becomes. I want it to still be enjoyable. You know what I mean? You know, the more tech you bring in, the less fun it becomes because you've got to worry about it going wrong. And especially with, you know, I'm quite happy to have a pile of pedals on the floor here. That's fine. I'm quite happy to have pedals. You know, my wife's probably less impressed, but I'm just happy to have all the gear around me. But I'm not sure that I want that much on stage. You know what I mean? Up until fairly recently, I didn't have any modulation at all. And do you use vibrato pedals?
Yes.
What's your choice of vibrato?
This one.
They're great. My mate's got one of those.
Yeah, I love it.
They're like a Univibe, aren't they?
Yeah, I just use it for a big thrumming, you know.
So it's like the vibrato part of the Univibe, but there's also the tone print you can download as well, isn't there?
That's right. Yeah, and that's what I've got. I've got it. I did something on the app, and I loaded it into it, and I don't know what I did, and it's in the middle tone print position. You know, I don't know what I did, but it's there, and if it ever goes away, I don't know. Help! I don't know what to do.
Which one have you got? What sort of sound is it that's loading there? There's a brilliant broken record type sound on there.
It's one that I made. It's literally just a wop 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 wop. Really, it's for the chorus of one of our songs. I just hit this massive open E, and it stays for a long time, and it just shakes while I sing the melody. And then there's like an F sharp, and the chord lasts like 8 bars, and it's just this fabulous. You know, if you're standing near the front, near my guitar cabinet, you see people. What the hell's going on? You know, because it's out of time. And it's very aggressive, but it's fun. I love that pedal. I like his little brother as well, who's completely the wrong colour for pedal cam. But
what's that one there?
The Helix. That's just a phaser, but it's a great phaser.
I've got one from the same family.
Yeah, I had him.
You've got the.
That's
I like
a great
that
pedal.
one a lot. That's a great. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? I mean, this is another one. I don't necessarily. I mean, I've got. Do I really need it? But I like it, and I'll put this at the end of my effects chain after the delays, and then I've got it on a slow wobble, so I can stick it on the end of like the analog delays, and then make it, and I leave that on quite when I'm picking guitar parts, so it creates that sort of
Movement.
Board Canada wobbly Aphex Twinny. There's a guy called The Caretaker who makes these really cool ambient records. I'm really into his production. Basically what he does, he gets 78s that are knackered and wobbly and horrible sounding, and he makes ambient records out of them.
Right.
And that basically is me trying to rip off The Caretaker, who I love. I think the guy's a genius. And, anything that's going to make it sound less... Because I use a lot of clean sounds, but I want them to sound. I want to have control over the deteriorated. So I want, I'll bit crush it and I'll wobble it and I'll put it through an analog delay and anything to make it wobble in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And I just want it to be broken, but broken how I want it to be broken.
Yeah.
which is ridiculous, isn't it?
Repeatedly broken.
Yeah. So you control it, but so that's kind of my effort to try and make it sound like that. And I've got the Eventide's really good for getting warped sounds as well, and glitchy sort of. I'll show you this as well. Actually, I've got to sell this. I can't really afford to keep it, but this is an MWFX Judder pedal.
I've not seen that.
This is a weird pedal. It's like an analog synthesizer filter with modulation, a low pass filter. And it's got a stutter or layer effect. You can get chorus sounds out of it. You can lock it at certain points going round. It's a really weird pedal. I'm not sure. So I've got to get rid of it. Really, they're worth a lot of money. They're worth about 300 quid. Because the guy who makes them, they're really collectible for a certain variety of pedal nerd. You know, and if I was going to get
one of my questions, is there such a thing as a pedal snob? And that's who would buy that pedal.
Yes. I mean, there's the whole boutique thing is total pedal snobbery. And, you know, I was looking at, you know, there's the people who worry about how things are wired.
Yeah.
But I have come to notice that this, I think the hobby of, do you agree with this? Do you think the hobby of collecting pedals and the hobby of making records are very different things?
Oh, they're completely different. Completely different because I've become an anti-pedal snob because of the people that you're talking about. I look at their board and if there isn't a Boss pedal on it, I just dismiss them as snobs.
It's bonkers. So I'm a member of all these sort of groups on the internet, and I've got no, you know, I think it's lovely if people got a hobby collecting stuff. I think it's, you know, it's cool, man. But I look at these pedals and boards and I think, you know, that's a $3 or $4 grander, that is.
At least.
I wonder if they actually make any records. Or like, we've gone off Univibes, haven't we?
Yeah, you mentioned them and then you went on to one of your rants.
None of it's important. Univibe. So I only got this recently. It's heavy, really heavy. But I mean, I've got phasers. I've had phasers. I've got a nice phase. I've got a nice little Morph phaser that sounds really good. Phase 90 clone. But what's your favourite phaser apart from your super phaser?
The Helix, the TC Helix. I'm looking for my. Oh, there it is. I've got it in metal, not paper. There we are. There's my Univibe, the Shaky Jimmy.
Oh, that looks posh.
Let me get it so you can see the screen print. There we are.
Looks posh. I've seen that somewhere before. Yeah,
That's can get it on.
Really good, isn't it?
It's a proper optical Univibe. It's got 4 little lights in it that do the business with receptors. Yeah. But it's got a terminal fault in that if you run it from a power block, whatever speed you've got the vibe at, it makes a ticking sound as well.
Oh, no.
If you power it from battery, it doesn't do it. But I'm one of those people who can't remember to unplug so it'd be a battery every time I turn it on. So.
Stop that. No, you don't want any batteries.
And also, the on-off switch was a bit flaky. So inside, I soldered it permanently on. But I think
you're quite good at all that, soldering and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to do it for a living. We used to make. I used to work at a place where we used to do patch bass for recording studios.
Mm.
I used to solder like 8 hours a day.
Oh wow!
But I haven't done it for about 15 years, and I've got no desire to ever solder anything ever.
I'd show you my sampler, but my piece of wire. No, I'll never get to it. No, my piece of wire won't let me get to it. I made live. We use Ableton on a laptop, and I've got a Novation Launchpad to launch samples, but my nightmare is the pint of beer in the laptop, and there goes. So I built myself a sampler in a little ABS case with 12 buttons on the front and banks of 12. And you load the sounds on an SD card, you power it up, it works instantly. But the buttons, you can't play them like you can a Launchpad. You can play a Launchpad like a keyboard, whereas these buttons you need to. It's got to be a direct hit in the middle of the button and quite hard to make it work. But it would get me out of jail free if the other thing died. But
this is why I'm scared of using sequencers live if it goes down. I mean, it only
happened once to us. It went down. Our first song, Dark Energy, the whole middle section is played off of Ableton, which is quite good because we get to play for 3 minutes. And then that plays for 2 minutes. So whatever's wrong with the sound in the first 3 minutes of the set, we can fix it while that's playing.
That's clever.
It's 2 minutes. But twice now I've hit it and nothing's happened. And all it does is puts me into a really bad mood. And I shout 1, 2, 3, 4 at the rest and then play the angriest guitar solo in the world. And then we just finish the song from there. But your heart just goes through your feet when nothing happens, you know.
I think we're at the point where, you know, I'd like to either get a keyboard player or get some sort of trigger in live, but it's a big step, isn't it? It's a big...
We keep thinking of getting the drummer one of those Roland things with the 8 pads that play samples, because then he would always you could have 1 bar samples and he could trigger them, you know, every bar and play along in time with it. Whereas now we've got some of our samples run 2.5, 3 minutes, and he has them audio in his headphones, no click, just has the sample, and plays along to them. But it's a bit of a, some nights you hear it drift really badly. You come out of, But then again, that's what makes it exciting. I mean, I do live vocal looping as well with the drummer, and our drummer loves to speed up, so I really have to, keep my ear on it sometimes to stop it early, because I can hear him racing away from the vocal loop that's gradually falling out of time. And
I think it's a weird thing with drums, isn't it? Because I quite like drums that speed up a little bit.
I do.
I think it gives a bit of excitement.
Yeah.
I don't really want it to be complete, because I remember, like I say, Porcupine Tree, when they did and seeing Steve Wilson, his live show, everything was on a click. All the projections were on a click. Everything was timed perfectly. It looked amazing. And that's fine when you're at his level and you've got a crew and you've got a backup rig. But me, it'd just be me going, it's all gone, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think I want the worry of it, to be honest, unless we had a mate who could run it for us. But who knows? Who knows when we'll all be playing live ever again? Anyway.
Exactly. Did you ever see a band called David Devont and his Spirit Wife?
I've heard of them. A friend of mine was a big fan.
Yeah, I was. They used to go so far above and beyond for a pub gig. I mean, I saw them once at the Borderline, and they finished the gig with the singer floating on a carpet like an Indian fakir, cross-legged on a carpet, floating 6 feet above the stage, playing a ukulele with cardboard clouds going along behind him. And just the whole thing. They used to do magic tricks while they played, and projections, magic tricks.
I think that's what you've got to do if you want people to. I think from my perspective, the way we've worked out how to do 100 people in a pub and be really good, do really good shows. You know what I mean? Not saying good, but to do a good job of that. You know what I mean? I don't think we're the best band in the world, but we do that well.
No, you have to think you're the best band in the world, or
you have to go in with an amount of confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, I go in thinking I wouldn't do it unless I felt we were good at it, and we would do it. And I'd feel like we were conning people if I.
Yeah, well, you don't want to embarrass yourself either, do you? You want to have something you can stand behind and say,
yeah, definitely.
What we did.
I think as well. I don't want to. I've always been very. I come from Northamptonshire. We're not allowed to show off, and if you sort of feel like you're showing off, it's looking as a bit. But I can't. It's not really that. I feel like I want to give people good value for money, and I want to enjoy themselves. And I massively love making people happy. And so it's not a case of I'm trying to show off or I'm trying to just look how wonderful I am. I'm trying to give somebody a nice night. I'm trying to make them happy. Yeah. If I make people happy, I'm happy. But yeah, that Univibe, I've only gone to Univibe recently because I always thought it was just kind of a phaser. But this has got two sounds on it I really like. It's got the slow, washy Dave Gilmour sound. Yeah. But it's also, if you speed everything up, it's got the fast. It's got the machine gun sound. Obviously, that sounds magical. But Smashing Pumpkins used it a lot on their records as well. So it's got that sort of sped up. You can play really good lead lines with the vibrato, with the chorus all the way up, and also it's quite a nice vibrato as well. The vibrato is not great. Yeah. It's quite a nice vibrato. It's a retro vibrato, but I love it. There's a sound to the Univibe that isn't on a phaser. It's a different sound.
I've always wanted one. I mean, that's why I've got the Viscous Vibe and why I've got the Shaky Jimmy. I should just buy a Univibe, shouldn't I? Really, I should.
I've never had one until recently, and it's been that's that sound.
Yeah.
That's how they get that on the Smashing Pumpkins. Siamese Dream album. It's all over that, and you go, that's that. That's how he does it. Anyway, I've only got one more pedal to show you. Me 5. Shall I show you that one?
Go on. What is it?
That's
yes. I've got that for Pedal Cam.
Oh, very good. I'm very impressed. That was on my Instagram, wasn't it? That one. So this is the other ones are multi-effects, and that's quite cool. So we got these built because I was looking for a what is it? What do they call them? So yeah, it's like all the stoner rock guys use these. I can't remember what it's called. You know when your brain just stops working?
Oh yeah. Quarter of the day. I mean,
it's the sorry, here we go. It's the Sun Model T.
Okay.
which is an American amp that was built. It wasn't, but it's what Sun use and a lot of the sort of stone rock bands. It's like a solid state preamp.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when they had adverts in the Music Press.
Yeah, and I don't think they were that well thought of at the time.
No.
But now they're classic, and this is basically it's a really good overdrive. It's like a multi-stage overdrive with a really good EQ on it. You can get lots of different sounds out of it. And the bloke who built it was a clone. You know, you got that clone one. So it's a clone of that. And he said, "Do you want your own logo on it?" I was like, "Yeah, I like that." And then I said, "Can you put a bit more gain on it?" "Yeah, it's all right. We'll do that." And before you know, you got your own pedal.
Yeah.
It only cost me £80. So it's
wow.
just, so we might actually get some. A few people asked us to get some made, so we might get some made for people as well. So with the logo on and stuff. So a few people asked for it. We might get some done for the next album. So I think one of the coolest things at the moment is that that was cheaper than it was to get the original.
Right. Yeah.
It's the Italian guy who makes these clone pedals. What do you think is the current sort of boutique market and the clones and stuff? It's a really great time for pedals. What do you think?
I think there might be too many pedals.
Yeah. I think
there was a thread on Reddit today. Somebody put 4 different fuzzies up, and he said, "I'm trying to get the Stevie Ray Vaughan sound. Which one of these should I buy?" And a bunch of know-alls immediately dove in with, "Well, you don't want any of those. You want," and listed another 5 pedals that I'd never heard of, and it boiled down to he wanted a clone, but he didn't know that, and there's just so much choice and so much disinformation, and it's going to get to the point, perhaps it will get to the point where the cream will rise to the top and the people who know what they're talking about will become the arbiters of taste, rather than at the minute there's this scattershot approach to the more obscure the better, at the minute.
But I know, right? So Stevie Ray Vaughan, right, is a clone, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so, and depending on the guitar, to get the right sound, these are 20 quid EQ, 40 quid, I reckon we can get pretty close.
Oh, gotcha.
So, because I know that by messing, if you want to get, I remember the other sound, me and my mates always talk about Monster Magnet's guitar sound, right? That Monster Magnet fuzz guitar sound. I reckon any fuzz, yeah?
Any fuzz?
30 quid fuzz, 20 quid EQ, I reckon I can get that fuzz sound.
Well,
most of it's getting the EQ bloody right.
Exactly. That's why that company Nuix are taking the mickey at the minute with their new modeler. I told you it was 170 quid.
Yeah.
It's 119 pounds, which is the price of a pedal. And they keep putting demos up on YouTube of it doing anything. And that is a rig in your pocket. You could have that as a spare entire rig for 120 quid.
So I think what we've learned is, whilst pedals are wonderful and we both love them, that ultimately it's knowing what sound you want.
Yeah, it's having a target.
And having, if like I say, if I had that setup, which is 40 quid setup, and I don't, plus this, right? I reckon that for 130, 40 quid, I can pretty much do anything with that. You know what I mean? It's like just
same amount of money.
Yeah, the same one, yeah.
I can do anything.
So much of this, and it's lovely to have. I think with the Univibe, I haven't heard a terribly great, perfect Univibe wobble that sounds exactly like a Univibe. There's something about it.
Yeah.
Something to that wobble. There's something to an analog delay that's got a magical way it breaks up. There's a bit of a magic to it.
But these are all things that if you're making a record are lost in the mix.
Well, exactly. And also, analog delay doesn't sound that good with distortion compared. I prefer digital delay. So a lot of it's, and like I say, what actually matters is what's in the mix.
Yeah,
I went to see Monster Magnet live, and I think, their early albums, their guitar sound was one of the coolest guitar sounds ever, right? I saw them live, and they had the same fuzzy guitar sound. Couldn't hear the guitars. Fuzz guitars generally sound awful live.
Yeah.
Because they don't cut through.
Yeah.
The more fuzz you put on the guitar, the crappier it sounds.
Yeah.
If you listen to early Smashing Pumpkins live versus modern Smashing Pumpkins live, they sound much better now. And the early gigs, they used fuzz pedals, and now they use multi-gain stage preamps.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what sounds, nobody, unless you're Hendrix, fuzzies just don't cut through, do they? And if you listen to the mixes of Hendrix live, then what's in the mix of a Hendrix live album? It's just guitar, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Gypsies, I mean, the drums are just like a splashing sound in the background, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, unless you're it's very hard to get fuzz guitar to cut through. Unless, the only way I've worked out to get fuzz guitar to cut through is through using a little EQ. Those little EQs, those 20 quid EQs, you can spend, the boutique fuzz market's insane. Do you use actual fuzz sounds much? No. Have you seen the boutique fuzz market's bonkers, isn't it?
Well, I see the talk, what kind of geranium resistor you use and all that, but
I'm ignorant to it, I have to admit.
I'm not a fan of fuzz, to be honest with you. I like gated to be, but
I like the gated fuzz sound where it breaks up and then cuts. I like that. But generally speaking, I prefer heavily overdriven to fuzz.
Yeah,
I think fuzz. It just, unless I love the Monster Magnet sound, I love that fuzz sound, but I don't know how to get that to cut through.
Yeah.
It's a really hard sound to work live compared to a really well overdriven amp.
My friend used to call fuzz guitar the Hoover sound. Yeah. It always sounded like his mum hoovering in the next room.
Huh.
And
I mean, there's that band Sun O, and their guitar sounded just.
Yeah.
But I mean, the early sounds, I've had big muffs and stuff. I had loads of different fuzzes, but never. Just when the band kicks in, you just go. You just can't hear it. You can do some great stuff live, and like I say with this one, I love playing this at home. It's a massive sound, but I can't get it to cut through the band.
Yeah.
But as soon as I've tried it with the band, and as soon as the drums come in, it's like gone. And really, what you want is and the other thing I've learned over the years is using less gain. Really,
that's our records astonish me because most tracks are just a layer of clean guitars, which eventually goes dirty. But you can hear all the notes, you can hear all the chords.
How many guitar parts do you put on your records?
I tend to work in sections, so there won't be one that just goes all the way through. There'll be the one that the intro, the different sound for the verse, different verse for the bridge, and so on. And then
you double all your rhythm parts.
No. I used to be a fan of the classic heavy metal 2 guitars panned and all that, but I tend not to do that now. I tend to if it's a heavy sound, I'll use the distorted sound, but then I'll pick something with a weird tremolo. I'll pick the melody on top of the distorted sound to pull the melody out of it.
So do you think that's because you're better at getting sounds now? You don't need to double track them?
I'm a devil for reamping.
We do that as well. Yeah.
I always record a clean guitar, and then I'll spend ages with all manner of plugins to find something that gives it an identity for that song.
The only thing I find with reamping is sometimes you're playing off the actual amp's got a certain bounce to it or something, and you sometimes lose that when you reamp. You know what I mean?
I think, those people that go on YouTube and demo new products always seem to shred, and they always shred with too much gain, too much distortion. Because it's fun to do that, and the guitar is playing itself. You've only got to touch the neck with your finger, and there's a note. You sound like
that's what sounds really good on its. I mean, that's like you were saying earlier. What sounds good on its own is not good in the mix, is it?
No, but and they all use that sound, which is great fun to play. So what I'll do is I'll play a part with that awful sound that I hate. I call it testosterone solo. You do the testosterone solo, but then I'll reamp it with something clean, so you get the melody of what you've played. Because I find I'm more adventurous if the guitar is half playing itself.
Yeah, of course we all are. Yeah.
And so, but then I take it back to something more musical and get rid of the compressed, echoey, driven sound that I use to record it.
Do you use a compressor or anything?
Not really. I mean, I think you saw my rant on Facebook. I hate compressors.
I'd never used a compressor until a few weeks ago, and I got one to run just to create. Basically, I was trying to create a sustain into the memory toy to get the analog delay to feed back in a different way.
Right.
And I got some interesting sound. I don't like the feel of compressors when I'm playing them.
No, I don't.
I think they sound awful on rhythm guitar, and I think they suck all the life out of everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, that Gilmore lead playing, there's that business. That's a compressor. That's the sound, isn't it? It's the whole thing is compression. So I like that, but for rhythm guitar and for picking and stuff, I like a lot of guitarists who play with compressor. I really love Johnny Marr's guitar playing, but I can't ever get in. I can't. For some reason, when I pick with a compressor on, it takes all the fun out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
you said, the bounce goes.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like it. You hear that coming up after you've played the note. I don't like it. I don't.
I'm all right with it on clean lead guitar to create sustain. I'm okay with that. But to use it for picking and for chords doesn't work. Does for me. It just it feels like
everything goes dead. Yeah,
it's horrible, isn't it? So
people seem to like them, but I've never had a problem with sustain. My amp, it's the proper Spinal Tap moment. In fact, one of our songs has got a bit where I tease the rest of the band because I can hang that note forever, and it's like it's the end of a solo section, and we nod into the next verse, and sometimes I just turn around and pretend I can't stop it, shrugging my shoulders. It's out of control, boys. There's nothing I can do. But it would just sustain forever. Key of D, my guitar will sustain forever.
And is that due to the gain on the amp, or is that
it's because of the Boss SD1 pushing the Marshall into craziness?
And I think one thing is that this Cloney one, it was 20 quid on from Amazon. This one has definitely got I use it virtually without any gain at all. As a boosty sort of
yeah.
And I think that might work for the sound I was trying to get rather than a compressor. So I might try that.
Yeah, stacking lots of overdrives together will give you loads of sustain. I mean, I've been in lockdown. I've been playing with my head rush a lot, and I've started using clean boosts with no gain, just on like 2 in front of the amplifier, just to give it a hair more drive than it's got. Imperceptible when you turn it on and off. You can hear it, but barely. But when you start adding them up, it becomes a different thing.
It's weird, isn't it? The problem with getting a good guitar sound and trying to sound like something on a record, the chain is so complex. So you've got pedals, you've got the guitar, the player, the pedals, the amp, the valves in the amp, the speaker, the mic, the room, playback, the desk, any plugins in there. You've got the desk, the speakers they used on to mix it on. So that's their reference. Versus, what's coming out of your speakers and how it sits in the mix. It might be double tracked. Often you never. So I think it's a fool's errand trying to sort of get the sound of trying to emulate someone else's sound. You've got to go down your own path.
Got to.
Do you use much plug-in amps?
Yeah, all of our records are just plugins. I shouldn't say that out loud.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, we just got the Friedman amps, plug-in amps. I think not Universal Audio, they're another one. But Kev just got those, and they're amazing. I mean, you can't tell.
No, you can't, especially in a mix. I mean,
I've got Greenback Parks, classic 70s, super posh speakers, worth a lot of money. I've got all valve head. I can set it up. Well, but I'd have to go into a studio, have a decent mic on it. I'd have to turn it up. I mean, it's incredibly loud. I don't even know where I'd go to turn it up. I haven't turned it up for about 5 years. No, since we did the last album 3 years ago. And so then I've got to try and, find some extra equipment. Whereas with the Friedman, I mean, it's mint. It sounds, everything on it's perfect.
Yeah.
And I can run pedals into it, and it takes pedals like a real amp.
Yeah, I do that. I mean, I'll record with a wah-wah in front of a modelled amp, and it's fine.
Are you big on wah-wah?
I love wah-wah, yeah.
Really? I've never been able to get on with it.
Really?
Yeah. What were your favourite wah-wah guitarists?
Bog standard Crybaby. But
Yeah.
I've modified it to be true bypass, and because I have it in front of the G2, and I put 2 LEDs in because sometimes in the height of battle at a gig you forget whether it's on or off. But I went mad and I didn't look at the values of the LEDs, so when I turn it on now it burns a hole in the ceiling with the amount of light coming out of it. But other than that, it's a bog standard crybaby.
I've got a 70s wire but it's really noisy. I can't remember what make it is. It's an old. I don't know what it is. I need to sell it because it's worth a lot of money. It's probably worth about £100. But I've never been able to get into wire at all. The only thing I like using them as filters.
Yeah. Bronson.
But the rhythmic thing, I've never been. It's not that I don't like it. I'm just lacking competence to do it. I can't play it rhythmically. You know what I mean? I can't. It's hard. It's quite hard. There's an art to it, isn't there?
I tend to just use it in solos as a way of giving a bit more edge to the sound, like you were saying, making a fuzz cut through. It just livens my amp up a bit so the notes come through.
I've been thinking about using a really slow phaser for that.
Right.
Quite a similar sort of, you know.
Yeah, just to put some edge on it.
And the other thing is, when I play wah, I find myself going like a sort of deranged duck.
Oh, you have to do that. That's part of it.
And it's like, why don't you? Yeah, does anyone need to see a middle-aged man go?
My problem is when I turn it on, I tend to put my whole weight on it, and I sort of stand up and jump off of it, and I know one day it's just going to collapse.
Yeah, I mean
that will be the end of that. But
I've always been, you know, I mean there are really great players who use a wah, but I just like. And the other thing is, like I say, with the lights and stuff, you can never tell if the bloody things are on or not.
No.
So you might end up doing half a gig with a. I had a similar problem. The whammy pedal was the worst. I used to use a whammy pedal.
I can't use those. I can't.
Anyway, I did a gig, and if you don't calibrate them properly, they put your entire guitar out of tune for the entire gig. So I did a gig that was like a semitone out, but from my tuner, it was perfectly in tune.
Yeah, yeah.
But the whammy was after the tuner. So my guitar was in tune, but it was because it wasn't calibrated properly, it ruined the entire show. And I was devastated. I thought I'd let the guys down. And I never used a whammy pedal again after that. But I used to use it. There's an EP we did. It's basically 90% me playing a whammy guitar. So I got into, you know, like My Bloody Valentine. Sound. Got really into that. And I used it loads, and I'm really into it, which is such a shame because it's such a great sound. Do you use a tremolo on your guitar?
No, my first guitar. Can I reach it? That I used for every gig for the first 20 years, maybe longer, is 71 SG Deluxe. The one in the big book of Gibson, they call this the one they got wrong because it's really thick. There's the heel.
That's really thick for an SG, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a shame you can't hear it because if you do that. You didn't hear that, did you? But it goes down a semitone just by the weight of the headstock.
But that's SG, to be honest, SG next to the Tories for that, aren't they?
But this one, you can.
Yeah.
You probably can't hear that, but you can.
I can hear it waving.
Yeah, you can.
SG next, like I've got a share gold. You can do it, but I daren't do it with it. I don't want to break it.
The neck is going to come off of that one day when I do. When I can't believe how far I used to bend that neck, and I was expecting. Yeah.
I remember my old guitar teacher had a twin neck share gold, and he used to do the old.
One would come apart, or
yeah, it was like, and he used to pull on the neck, and it was like, oh my god. But yeah, he was. That was bonkers. That one. But yeah,
can't play. To answer your question, no tremolo arm. I don't have the dexterity to do it. I love the sound of it when people give chords that little.
Yeah, me too. I've never been able to do it either. I think it's something you've got to. I've had lots of guitar. I've had a Strat with a tremolo arm before. I've had a Jazz Master.
That's what I've got, a Jazz Master. But
I can't get on with it. Do you like Jazz Masters?
I love mine, yeah. I've got the J. Maskis Squire one.
Squire one. They're nice guitar. I think that's what Carvis has got as well. Carvis loves it.
Yeah, it's a great guitar. I changed the gold scratch plate to be a white one so it doesn't look like a J. Maskis. But I record a lot with it.
Yeah,
I record... Live, it's SGs. Recording, it's Jazz Master. I've got a 339. quite a lot of acoustic.
They feel really different though, jazz masters, don't they?
Yeah.
They've got their own thing. I mean, I like it. I do like it, but I can't. It's just not me. I've played Telecasters and Share Golds.
Right.
I played a Les Paul for years. I used to have a Les Paul Standard, but I sold that because I was playing too fast on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was too easy to play. I went through a stage of ripping. I was getting really stupidly fast. I was really widdly, and I wanted to get something that's going to slow me down, so I bought a Telecaster instead.
I had my Telecaster phase, but I made a clear Perspex front for it, and I used to print different bodies.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'd cut the, out of the print, put it behind the Perspex, but to put the Perspex on, you had to take the neck off. So it got to the point where every gig we did, I had to take the neck off my Telecaster, change the front, put the neck back on. It was worth it at the time because people used, oh, what's Steve's guitar going to be?
It's amazing, yeah.
But then it got to the point with me thinking, I don't want to take the neck off my guitar again, so...
Are you quite good at sort of techie stuff with guitars?
I made a guitar. Here we are. Piece of wire. Here we are. Stephen's...
That's really cool.
You can see the penknife divots in it.
That's really nice.
It's a piece of walnut from the scrapyard, and I didn't make the neck. It's a Gibson Sonex neck.
Yeah, but if you got a decent neck and decent pickups, I mean, the body's lovely, isn't it?
It's a great guitar. There's a Robert Calvert live album, live at the Queen Elizabeth Hall, and that's the guitar I used because when I turned up, we'd done a festival the day before, and the other one, the SG, just would not go in tune. It was having one of its I'm a little bit too damp days, so it was just changing shape constantly. That's the downside of the flexible neck. So I had to use the homemade bolt-on neck piece of junk, and it was great.
You seen them? This is the modern Share Golds.
One of the new ones.
New ones, yeah. They say I'm a Share Gold endorsee.
Wow.
They so it went out for me, and I broke the. Don't show them this.
It's all right. They won't see this. It's fine.
Yeah.
Going for 2 hours, Matt. There's no chance anyone's watching at this point.
This shouldn't be on here. You see, this is the. This is off a Fender Strat, but this is a fantastic guitar. It's got the coil taps on it.
Right.
But it's kind of Patrick Eggle makes them. So they're like.
So he's licensed the name.
It stays in tune, yeah.
Right.
They got the name, but they've got the same body shape. The body shape is the same.
Yeah.
It's still a Masquerader. Still the same bridge. I mean, they're still.
It's a chunk of wood, though, isn't it?
It is, and they're a real classic. I like Share Gold because they're a classic guitar of the '70s, but they really saying that it only appealed to someone who's a bit of a nerd into into New Order or Joy Division or Hackett played when. I mean, I just think they always thought they were just quite cool guitars, and I like that they're like a bit like an SG and a bit like a Telecaster, but not an SG or a Telecaster. You know what I mean? So, and a friend of mine, I used to play a twin neck guitar and a twin neck Share Gold, and I remember I put on the internet that how much I love them, and a friend of mine sent me his, which is ever so kind of him, and so I've got a vintage Share Gold as well.
Wow,
they're my favourite guitars. They're just cool, and they've The other thing is that Telecaster I play all the time as well on stuff. But I just it's. I think going back to this entire conversation, I think the thing we're probably both on the same page with that. What we're trying to do is get our own sound rather than go onto Reddit and trying to become like Steve Ray Vaughan, isn't it? Trying to get your own. Because
I've definitely got my own sound, without a doubt. Right.
I think that's the important thing, rather than worrying about. I don't care. I'm never going to be as good as this person, but like you said, you want to be the best Steve. I want to be the best Matt. What I mean? That's the way, because that's all you can do. You're never going to be. What I mean? I'm never going to be able to play like Hendrix. I'm never going to be able to play like John McLaughlin or Robert Fripp. But I can take little bits of that and then.
Well, that's what everything is, isn't it? Everything is a distillation of all the things that came before it, plus your new idea.
What worries me about some of the rock music of the last 10, 20 years is that because of the sort of, I think one of the things that really happened, like CD reissue culture. You know when we were kids, right? It's hard to get old albums, wasn't it?
No, because when I was a kid, they were all new albums.
But I found it really hard to find like Sabbath records and stuff, and and then everything came out on CD again, and then you got then that kind of chords like Britpop and things like that, where people rediscovered all that '60s music.
Yeah.
And then now we're at the point where everything is available constantly, right? You can listen to anything all the time, but nothing really sort of coalesces into anything new. You know what I mean? It's really weird. It's like everything's going on the time. But what I find worrying about a lot of rock music, it's like a medieval reenactment society. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing anything original, but at least I'm trying to do something that's basically I can't really sound like anyone else. I'm not good enough. But it's like I'm just trying to do something that makes me happy. And I think what people forget is that what made you happy about those records, when I first heard Sugar by Copper Blue or something, it was the rush of the new. It was something new and exciting. And nostalgia's never going to get you the same. So that's why you've got to keep pushing forward.
Well, that's what worries me about the boutique pedal market and relict guitars. People are trying to own something that would have been current in the 60s because they think it will make them as good as the 60s. You're missing the point. They only used that gear because that's all there was. It isn't the gear that made the songs, or all right, in some cases it was, but you just have an idea. It really doesn't matter what you record it on or how you record it, or I'd rather have a terrible recording of a great song than hi-fi garbage.
Well, like I say, you listen to a lot of the Mahavishnu Orchestra albums, they're terribly badly recorded. A lot of how many Hendrix bootlegs sound amazing, but they're not very well recorded. But I was listening to a Led Zeppelin bootleg the other day, and it's all over the place. But it was really exciting because it was messy as hell.
Have you ever heard the first Vanilla Fudge album?
I haven't. No.
It's fantastic because you can hear their feet on the studio floor. Yeah. And you hear the flick of the switch on the Leslie before the Leslie kicks in and all things like that. Stuff that these days you would edit out. But it is such a powerful record.
Yeah, and it's the same with... that's why those records were so good. It's because they were a shot in time. And there's people... And I like hearing musicians playing at the end of their abilities. Like, too many people stay in their comfort zones playing-wise, rather than trying to go... They're frightened of failure, you know what I mean? But that's how you get, Hendrix. You get Hendrix because Hendrix was absolutely... There was nothing in the tank.
Yeah.
He was doing everything he possibly could.
That's what I used to love about 60s era Pete Townsend when they were playing Tommy. He's standing there with an SG playing it, but in his head, he's hearing an orchestra.
Yeah.
And here's the oboe part, and here's the string section, but one guitar, Yeah, we've kept our opinions fairly PG.
I'm pretty good.
Have I answered all my questions? Yeah, I've asked all my questions except the colourful pedal.
I've got a colourful pedal.
Yeah.
I haven't got a colourful pedal. This is probably the nicest looking pedal. Hold on.
The nicest looking pedal is that blue one with all the switches.
That's cool, yeah. That Judder's really cool. I've got to get more. I've got to sell it really. I can't really afford to keep it. Probably that C machine's quite nice. This is. I'm selling this, which is a Earthquake C machine, which is it's okay.
What is it though?
It's a chorus. It's a really good chorus. I've never found any joy in chorus. How are you with chorus?
That's the chorus.
I like chorus on synths. I like chorus. I've got a. If you've got a really simple synth, like a one oscillator synth, really simple synth with a bit of chorus on it, I'm well happy. I think it sounds brilliant. But a chorus on guitar, I like slow chorus.
I was just going to say that you have one of these and you put them at this one points all the way that way and this one points all the way that way.
Yeah.
And it's instant Van Halen.
Instant
Van Halen.
Yeah. There's a his sound's got that. It's like I think he used to harmonise to detune it, but it's virtually the same sound, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very hard to get. I tell you, if I want a chorus sound. I'm getting rid of that. Who's this one? I should have organised myself here. There it is. If I want a chorus sound, I've got a more flanger.
Oh, okay.
And I just, you can get a flanger to sound like a chorus.
Yeah.
It's a 30 quid pedal. It sounds fantastic. It's a copy of the Electro-Harmonics. What's the Electro-Harmonics chorus? Yeah, I used to have that flanger. That's a good pedal, that is.
I love that flanger.
That's a great flanger, yeah. Wish I hadn't sold that. That's a mistake.
Most people do. Does that mean something? Is it better?
Which one? Oh, the greenback ones. Yeah, I think mine was a greenback. I shouldn't have sold that. There you go. But the Moore flanger is absolutely fantastic. We'll find it. There you go. The E-Lady flanger.
There you are, the E-Lady.
Yeah, which is electric. It's a rip off of the Electro-Harmonics one, but it sounds fantastic. It's got, that, Are You Gonna Go My Way sound.
All right.
It's got that sound on it. It's got and if you bring the colour down, bring the range down, bring the rate down, it does a chorus as well. It's really cool. It's almost like a tapey flanger. It's really nice.
Right. I use that flanger with a distortion in front of it to mimic the giant fuzzo.
The jet flange.
Yeah, the jet phaser.
Yeah, I like it, but I've never found a place to put it in a song yet. And flange is a difficult one to, unless there's a bit that's that sound.
Yeah.
You're not going to use it, are you? It's not like a phaser where you can stick it underneath a solo. That's a more phaser. Look, that's like a Phase 90 clone.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic Phase 90 clone. Exactly the same circuit. This is the thing at the moment. What I really like is those Moore pedals and stuff. And you can get like 120 quid pedal for 30 quid. And if you're only going to use it for one song, you don't spend 120 quid on a pedal, do you?
No.
It's the same circuit. It sounds
it's nice to know that you're as cheap as I am.
I'm just not. I do like posh gear, but I'm fine with a 30 quid pedal as long as it works.
Yeah.
And especially if you've got, your switching system, you're not even relying on them. You can put them out anything slightly dodgy in its own loop anyway, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I
bought that Moore Helix, the GE 300, their equivalent of the Helix. It sounded monstrous. It really did sound good, but it's got a fatal flaw.
Go on, what's that?
It's got 8 buttons on the front, but no way of labelling them. And in the big display at the top, they're just called A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
How do you know?
How do you know what they are?
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. But getting a good sound on it was easy. It's just, I wouldn't want to take it to a gig, because what happens when you're 2 banks down? And now you're on the third version of C. What is this? I don't know.
I'm not keen on banking on switching systems.
I don't do it.
I had the M9, the 96 M9.
Yeah.
And I remember pressing the bank button on that one, so I could never get my sounds back. It was awful. It was just. I used it for about 3 gigs, and I went back to the L4 again.
On the on this thing, the G2, you have a bank button, and when you hit the bank button, all of the pedals start flashing. So they're all banks. So you hit number 1, you're in bank 1. You hit.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but it isn't though, because once you're in bank 2, how do you know you're in bank 2?
Oh God, yeah.
And if you miss-hit bank 2 and you hit bank 3 by accident, which has happened to me, you then go for your sound that's on number 10 and it's no longer on number 10. So I only stay on the first bank. I never deviate from the first bank because it's too dangerous.
If you've got 14 switches though, you shouldn't really need to, should you?
Yeah, but don't forget, one of them's gone as a tuner, so now you've got 13. One of them's your standard sound, now you've got 12. One of them's the square sound that you just use for one bar in one song, now you're down to 11.
Goes, doesn't it?
It soon vanishes. That's the problem with the headrush. The headrush has got 12 buttons, but they only let you use 8. The other 4 are for housekeeping, tempo, the looper, bank up, bank down. So you've only got 8.
What about tempo switching on the G2 then? Has that got a tempo?
You can do it. I don't bother. I have the Strymon next to it, and I just use the tap tempo on the Strymon.
That's cool. I suppose if you're running the sequencer, you could use that to trigger the delay speed as well, couldn't you?
The MIDI on it is weird because all the MIDI does, bank 1, pedal 1, sends a control message, change to patch 1. The next one is patch 2, patch 3, and so it goes up through the unit. So you can't say to it change parameters.
Oh, I see.
All it does is patch changes in order, and that's what's annoying with the Strymon, because once you've plugged your Strymon into it, that's patch 1 in the Strymon, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. So if you've got patch 19 on your Strymon that you want there, what you have to do is copy it to patch 10 on the Strymon.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
to make it so your patches in the Strymon become a jumble because this is dictating where they are.
Weird the Strymon gear, isn't it? Because it sounds amazing, but I don't know. Do you think they're too clean? A bit like the Eventide. They're a little bit too posh.
I bought that big, the Boss MD500, the modulation one, the big modulation
is that
one.
good?
No, it was awful. I don't know if you saw my post. I put a post with a picture of that and a picture of the Zoom, and it just said this is better than that because the Zoom is better than the big Boss box.
It's weird, isn't it?
Because you can chain effects, like you said, in the Zoom. With the Roland, you're stuck with 2.
This thing's a bit of a nightmare, really, isn't it? Because what you want is a slightly more pro version of that, isn't it?
Yeah, you want that with 8 buttons on the front of it. And I've lost it. I was going to put it on pedal cam, but chaos has overtaken me here, and I don't know where anything is anymore.
Pedal, isn't it? That it's so
it's gone.
It shouldn't be this good, should it?
No, it really shouldn't.
Because I mean, not being, it's. I mean, this one I've got emulating sounds. You know the Strymon modulation unit. What's it called? The Strymon.
Yeah, Mobius.
Yeah, Mobius. I've got all the Mobius sounds mapped to that. I've got clones of all the Mobius sounds. I've got clones of all the Electro Harmonics rainbow pedal. I've got the Meteor reverb. I've got the Lo-Fi Junkie pedal, and they're all right. They sound.
We've got 3 songs in our set that rely on that Zoom pedal. One's got the particle reverb, which I love.
It's great, yeah.
The one that's forever rising.
Yeah.
We've got one with the pitch delay. So every time.
Pitch delay's awesome, yeah.
The pitch delay is awesome. I've tried the one in the Strymon, nowhere near as good. The one in the Headrush, nowhere near as good. The Zoom is so musical. We start the song with a sequencer which sets the tempo, and then I just play a note, and it goes gong, gong, gong,
yeah.
in time, in tune. Sounds fantastic. And what's the other song? I can't remember. But anyway, we've got another song which I can't play without that pedal because
it's bonkers, isn't it?
The madness is in
I think the pitch delay. I mean, the H9 there's a certain sound to the H9 in terms of the harmonizer and stuff, right? But it's quite dated now. The H9 sounds are quite, they were classic sounds from the Eventide harmonizer. It does those sounds perfectly.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, it would. It is those.
But it doesn't do. But I think in terms of tracking, the what do they call it? The Electro Harmonics POG tracks better than the H9.
Right.
And I think the Zoom possibly tracks better as well.
Really?
But where the H9 really excels is the massive chord, pad delays and stuff.
Yeah.
And the reverb's phenomenal. They're just phenomenal sounds. And also it does some really cool arpeggiator sort of rhythmic sounds.
Yeah.
Really interesting tremolos and stuff, rhythmic stuff. Love all that. But the modulations aren't great. The modulations on the H9, the Zoom's probably got some better modulations.
The Zoom gets incredibly close. The Zoom gets incredibly close to that, which not a lot of people do.
The Zoom's also got a fantastic. The vibrato on the Zoom is unbelievable.
One of my favourites in it is the what do they call it? The rotary. It's their Leslie cabinet.
Rotary's excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so these are, I wouldn't buy that again. I wouldn't buy another one of those.
Really?
At the time, a few years ago, that was the only way to get a lot of those sounds.
Yeah.
But now, I get that.
Yeah.
80 quid. And I mean, it's just, it blows your mind it even exists, doesn't it?
Well, you'd get that and one of those to loop it in and out of the...
Yeah, because the switching's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I do, is I just pre-select the effect and just bring it in and out with the looper.
That's a good idea. I should do that. Because the switching's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Very.
That's a really good idea. You have to do that. That's really clever. Why didn't I think of that? Because my only problem with the Zoom is literally the switching. But if you've got out in a little loop, and you can just go up and down the
ABCD.
Yeah, because then you've got 50 really brilliant sounds.
Yeah.
Like special effects.
Yeah, exactly.
Because really, like the Zoom, and they're like plugins, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're that sort of level of really cool effect. But that's a really good idea. I'll get one of those. How much are they?
I get the one from VeinTap. The guy who makes the leech.
Was it VeinTap?
Yeah, VEIN tap. I think let me look. I think his is only like 25 quid or something.
Yeah, they're not a lot of money. I've thought about buying one before, but for this specific thing, it's a really good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, his is 30 quid.
Yeah, that fixed that problem. Is that how you do it then?
When I use my little pedal board, yeah, I use the super looper just to put the zoom in and out. But obviously on my big board, it's the G2
yeah.
doing the same thing.
So, do you always bring your big board to gigs then?
Yeah, but it's massive. It's like a huge suitcase, and it's double. Yeah. It's 2 decks. So the top deck is performance pedals, so the vocal processor, because I have to use that a lot. The G2, the volume pedal, and the Strymon, and the tuner. And also I have, because we have singing, and I can't remember lyrics even though I wrote them, I have to have an iPad with the words on. So I've got a page turner for that as well, so I can flick through to the right page, because I always forget to change it. So
that's clever.
I have to tap my way through to the right page during the intro to remind myself of what the...
What vocal processor do you use?
Boss VE30, is it? The red one.
Is that just for delays or what?
No, it does everything that it does: harmonies, delays, looping, everything you'd expect. Doubling. I use doubling a lot.
We've thought about is adding vocals, but one of us to sing as well. But I think we need something along those sort of lines. So I don't want to just go and sing into a microphone, and it's bad enough playing guitar without people having effects on it. So
I've tried a few. I tried. I mean, I bought the Boss first because that's what I always do. I buy the Boss first because it usually works.
Yeah, but Boss gear is pretty safe anyway, isn't it?
Exactly. And then if it doesn't, I just go and sell it and get something else. But the Boss is fabulous, but it's got no MIDI. Because what I'd like is the G2 to change the patches on it, because then I could have set sounds and it would change the vocals for those sounds. Cool. So I bought the TC, the blue one, Vocal Live, I think it's called, because that's MIDI enabled, but it didn't sound any good. It sounded horrible. So I got rid of that. Boss have got a new one that replaces the one I've got that's MIDI enabled, but it's 500 quid. And yeah, so I won't be getting that.
How much is the one you've got?
160, I think.
Yeah, I think that's something we might look at then. Do you ever wish you could do gigs with just a delay pedal and a fuzz?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I've got a photograph of a gig that I did with Robert Calvert, taken from above. And you're looking down at my effects pedal board. I can recreate my effects pedal board for you right now, sir, with 2 of the pedals in the photograph. You have to imagine... Go away. You have to imagine another one of these here. And
you had 2 of them?
Yeah, because I used to have this one like that, and the other one with my usual little bass hump. So this was, if I wanted to do a solo, I would push those 2 together, so it would be my normal sound plus delay. And if I wanted to be quiet and sensitive, I'd push first of all both of these, so it turns off the normal sound, cuts the sound completely with a little bit of treble and a little bit of bass, so the Marshall cleans up, and then touch that to warm it up with the chorus.
That's clever.
So that was my entire palette. It was.
That must have been quite nice, though.
Yeah, but that's why I love Boss, because you can hit them both at the same time because they're such big targets.
There's a lot of snobbery about Boss, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, this is the superior pedal form, I think, the form factor.
The hilarious thing is, though, a lot of the boutique pedals are Boss pedals slightly tweaked.
Yeah.
They're clones of them.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I can't remember the name of the chip. There's a chip in 90% of them, and a lot of them are the same pedal over and over again.
Yeah. Well, it's like this. That and a Tube Screamer are the same pedal. They've got the same circuit, same chip, and yet there's a snobbery. Which one have you got? Oh, I'm a Tube Screamer man. I'm an SD1 man. They're the same. It matters not.
Most of these people don't know how to set things right. They don't know how to stack effects. They don't know the sound they're looking for. They don't know the importance of EQ. They don't know the importance of gain staging things properly. They don't really know the sounds they want.
No.
Right, are we done?
I think so, because I'm really hungry. I think I've lost about a pound. It's gone dark. But anyway, this was fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We should do this again.
Yeah, we should. We need to think of another specious reason to do this.
Super happy pedal time with Matt and Steve.